Welcome again to this other side of the break. Um, we had talking about the other agendas like water. So there was a day dedicated for water, knowing that every month of March, or rather every 22nd of the month of March, we always celebrate water and sanitation. There is a World Water Day. And so all these things are going to be unfolded next year in our website. We're going to be keeping tabs, and also we're going to be having these initiatives happening. And so the Water Day was discussed, and like I said, it was also an agenda in the MOP 37. And so there was something they called aware, which is called action for water adaptation and resilience. And like you know, the Horn of Africa currently is experiencing a lot of drought, but in the last few days there have been rain, so the downpour is really doing a lot of favors. Like Nairobi was like very dry, and it is one of the wetlands in Kenya. But other parts of Rift Valley, there has been rain here and there. And so this was an initiative that was launched. And so this is where again jobs, this is again where creativity is needed. So look out for the aware, the water initiative that was launched. There was also another agenda on water security and sustainable development. And so this is what we've been asking. In Kenya, we have two rivers that are notorious of flooding. And so there is the river in Budalangi, and there is the Tana River in Tana Delta. And so I mean, the government should be proactive, and also the citizens, that these are the places where dams can really work well. And of course, the dam can work as a reservoir and also a water source, and of course, a mitigating uh, tool towards these overflooding. There is also overflooding sometimes of Lake Victoria. But of course, there are colonial agreements between Kenya and Britain, which bars Kenya from using Lake Victoria's water. But Kenya should be bold, like Ethiopia. When Ethiopia wanted to do something at the White Nile through Omo River, they built a mega dam, and Kenya is benefiting from electricity from there. And so we should be bold and be able to face these colonial laws, and of course act accordingly and have new multilateral agreements with our neighbors and those people whom we share resources with. And so there was also another agenda about climate adaptation for the extreme weather events. And so for me, this is almost the same thing. I mean, like the Aware launch can come in handy here. And of course, we're going to see a lot of extreme weathers. The extreme weathers have always been there. I was born in a year where there was an extreme drought, but a lot of people survived. But there was once, was given a story by an elder. There was once a terrible drought, whether it was drought or famine, I don't know, but it made a very big number of the Kikuyu community population to migrate to new places. And so that was severe. People to leave their land, which they always boast that it was given by Guy, their God, the name of God in that community, not their God. I believe in one God. And so Guy, which the name means the provider, all right? And so it was a very terrible event. And so these are the events that they want to have an adaptation around the extreme weathers. Those those who were born in around 97, 98 experienced El Nino. And some of us also experienced La Nina 4 years later. And so La Nina is the dry season, and the El Nino is the extreme stormy weather. And so there was also another input to the UN with regard to the midterm atmospheric review. And so we had talked about the atmosphere when we were reviewing about the scientists. And so we saw that the air, they are what we call the pressure jets, how they have changed in the atmosphere. And so this is a part of what they are going to be reviewing. And I think it is every 10 years. And so with regard to water action, and so this is a very important subject that I would like also to study through and also understand much. And so there was a day for civil societies, and how the civil societies were to shape these discussions. And of course, the civil societies were also given responsibilities of mobilizing for the Climate Action Fund. And so a lot of things were looked at. Like, for example, there was the issue of a legacy and the prospects that these meetings are supposed to leave the Corporation of Parties. And so the role of the civil society, like I said, was to ensure that they mobilize climate funds or climate financing, and of course follow up on pledges that were already put in place but were not fulfilled yet. And so there was another dialogue on the role of the civil society in preventing and responding to the climate induced disasters. And so the civil society is also another area where jobs are going to be around. And so a lot of people should also take studies around environment. There was another dialogue on the implementation of the ACE framework. And so you need to go and understand what is ACE. It is a framework which is going to guide people on how the implementation on the climate action is going to take place. And so finally, there was a discussion around the energy. That was about the adaptation of the funds. Of course, these already money is there. It was a high level contributor dialogue. So it was like countries discussing about this energy transition, owing to the fact that energy is what has driven climate change, and as well consistently driven development. If you're enjoying a mobile phone like I am doing, and enjoying the internet like I am doing, it is part, so the reaction to these positive actions is climate change. And so in as much as you want to enjoy development, which in my view is making people more and more lazy, because everything is gearing towards a very soft life. And so you get soft, but you destroy nature, which in turns sends the consequences and repercussions back to you, the sender. And so so this energy fund is there. Again, a place where to look for jobs, and also a lot of innovation and creativity. Also, there was a discussion around the affordability of the energy transition. And like I said, there is need for us to discuss on how to arrive at very cheap products for everybody to be able to transition, and not using those modern systems that eliminates others. And it doesn't care. Like, for example, people have been enjoying employment on national cake, while it is only very few people who could afford education. So this is one of the disparities of modernity or modern systems. The people who pay tax, not all of them who benefit from the tax. And so there is need for us to be prudent and very candid about building a nation state that is in tune with her citizen, that looks at the welfare and looks at also the needs. Of course, there is the welfare of the people, whatever they need from the government and whatever they can get. And of course, there is what they want, which is also another important thing. So, to me, modernity is a total failure. It has only succeeded to help very few. And like in Kenya, the people who get more than 100,000, which is more than I think um, in dollars, 100,000 is like 1,000 USD. So the people who earn USD in Kenya are not more than 10% of the population. And so this is how modernity has really failed Kenyans. So there was about climate and biodiversity, which were well discussed. And so addressing biodiversity loss and the deforestation and how to mitigate climate change and support some of the Glasgow agreements that I had mentioned earlier really was a total letdown. And also there was a new thing that came up, the Egyptian-led ecosystem based on approach and initiative. So the Glasgow failure has been pushed forward to the Sharm el-Sheikh declarations. And so this is also another initiative. This is where people should look at for jobs and opportunities. And also there was another thing that they called Hope for Corals. And so the coral reefs have been destroyed because of the commercial fishing and also dumping of plastic and other waste material, both solid and solution and liquid. And so it has been very difficult discussions, because owing to the fact that there are communities that depend on fish for protein, and the idea that people have been consuming this fish which contains nanoplastics, and these nanoplastics end up in people's body. It is quite unfair. And like I said, Africa suffers the most because all the dumping on the sea and the ocean always find their way into the African coast, including others that we import, thinking that we are doing ourselves some favor. And so this has been something that has been long overdue, but I'll say there's hope, because once we discuss this candidly, we are going to have a concerted effort and arrive at a solution. Now, talking about solution and climate change crisis management, I am so upbeat to talk about the solutions that were arrived. And I'm going to read word for word. Friends of the Green Natural Investment Plan for Africa and Developing Countries initiative was launched. So to me, this is news, and I'm so happy to hear that this has happened. So there's another one that is called the multi stakeholder dialogue. This is part of the solution that was arrived by these people, the multi stakeholder dialogue. So they talked about an equitable transition, and this is what we are talking about. Let nobody be left behind, towards sustainable urban transport. Wow, this is about transportation. Like I said, this is one industry that drives climate change because of the over reliance on fossil fuel. So there was another one that was about 1,000 plus clean and effective solution to COP27. And of course, there was another launch on the ceremony of the first Egyptian carbon offsetting companies. So there are companies that are going to sign declaration and become part of the Egyptian COP solution by committing to become green. And so this is what I can say the biggest gift that Africans have given to the world from the Sharm el Sheikh COP27. And so I hope Egypt is going to lead the way, and all other major African industrialists and other entrepreneurs. And so finally, there was something to do with building green businesses like I've just mentioned. And of course, what is important here is not only existing and running companies, but they are talking also about startups. And so this is where I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of discussions should continue around this area. And of course, we are looking forward, even as all this is going to be overshadowed in the next 1 month by the World Cup, which is beginning on Sunday. But we are going to keep on shouting about them, and we're going to keep on reminding people, and of course pushing those people who have the responsibility to see all this change take place. So thank you so much for taking time to be with us. Remember to share, subscribe, and to like. All my social media is Isaac Miruri Munza, and our website is www.imunza.rg. So see you soon. We're going to change gears, and we're going to discuss about sports, and of course the colonialization and the modernity of sport activity, and the promise that never fulfilled the dreams of the talent bearers, especially from the developed countries. Thank you so much, and let's keep on helping one another, sharing, and of course go to the comment section, say whatever you want to say, whether good or bad, whether we are misleading or we are doing a good thing. All comments are acceptable, but remember to keep your comments within the community guidelines protocol. Thank you so much.